You've only got a few days in Tokyo. You've done the research, bookmarked about 47 different blogs, and scrolled through endless Reddit threads. And somehow, you still don't feel confident you're making the right choices. I've helped plan trips to Japan for tons of people, friends, family, clients, and one question keeps coming up. How do I spend my time? In this video, I'm showing you the 5 hidden gems in Tokyo that can make your trip better than 99% of other visitors. These aren't just lesser known spots. These are places that capture the soul of Tokyo in some very unique ways. All right, you're in Shibuya, bright lights, high energy. There's the famed scramble crossing with 1,000 people trying to cross the street at the same time. I mean, it's cool to see, but after a few minutes, you're probably kind of over it. Here's what most people don't know. There's this little shrine tucked away about 5 minutes, just 5 minutes from all of that. You walk in through the Torii Gate and suddenly, you can breathe again. There are trees, it's quiet, it's small, but that's kind of the point. The place I'm talking about is Konno Hachimangu Shrine. It's tucked away from the main streets, surrounded by trees. While everyone else is trying to get that perfect photo of Shibuya crossing, you're walking through a quiet shrine. The architecture is beautiful, it's well maintained, and at night, it gets really cool. The whole vibe can change after dark. The lanterns light up, and you've got Shibuya skyline as the background, and you're just standing there in this peaceful spot while the city buzzes around you. There's also a treasure house, not like actual treasure like you're a pirate, but of precious items or valuable items that have cultural artifacts and contain information about the shrine's history. It's worth checking out if that's your thing. And here's the best part. After you've had your moment, I mean, you're still in Shibuya, so you can walk right back into the chaos if you want, grab dinner, hit up a bar, whatever. But now you've got a story that no one else has, and you're not wondering if you missed something better. You found it. Also, I wanted to mention to grab my free guide with all these spots, plus 5 extras, and my comprehensive Japan travel guide. Both links are in the description. But what if you want to get out even further from the tourist crowds? Not just a quiet shrine in Shibuya, but actually outside of central Tokyo. Imagine, you're tired of the crowds, right? You want to see a traditional Japanese garden, sip some green tea, and just, chill, relax for a bit. But you don't want to go to one of those manicured tourist trap gardens where everything feels staged and, so on and so forth. Actors, this, that, the other. You want something real, something locals would actually visit. Let me introduce you to Yamamura and Shibamata. Yamamura is a former merchant's residence with a garden where you can sit and drink matcha. It's registered as a tangible cultural property, which is a fancy way of saying it's protected and has a lot of history or artistic significance. And it's not super crowded. No tour groups, really peaceful. And here's what that really means for you. You're not spending your limited time standing in a line. You're not second guessing if there's a better spot around the corner. You're just there, fully present, sipping tea, watching the light filter through the trees. Shibamata itself is actually what's called a shitamachi, an old town, sort of like a sleepy suburb. The kind of place where you can actually experience what life feels like for locals. No Instagram influencers doing photo shoots every 5 feet, just real people living real life. While you're in Shibamata, check out Shibamata's Tai Shakuten Temple. It's got these incredible wood carvings that are absolutely worth seeing. There's also a shopping street nearby with local snacks and crafts. And if you're into Japanese film history, the Torasan Museum is right there. Now, if you've never heard of Torasan, think of it like this. It's Japan's version of the Cheers bar in Boston. It's a beloved film series that's been a part of Japanese culture for decades. The kind of thing where if you mention it to a certain generation of Japanese person, they'll instantly know what you're talking about. The museum has props, film sets, and even a recreation of the main character shop. Spring and fall are a great time to visit Yamamura when the colors pop, but honestly, any time of the year works if you just want to get out of central Tokyo for a bit. Okay, so we've gone from finding peace in the middle of Shibuya to escaping to an old town in Tokyo. What if you want something different, but you don't want to travel that far? That's this neighborhood in eastern Tokyo that most people skip right over. Before we jump into this next point, if you found a hidden spot in Tokyo that most people miss, drop it in the comments. I'm always looking for new places, and some of the best tips I've gotten have come from you guys. So let's talk about coffee for a second. Japan takes coffee seriously, like really seriously. And while you can find incredible coffee shops all over Tokyo, shout out Bicycle Cafe in Katsushika. Y'all know why I shouted you out. Great coffee. Shout out to y'all, man. There's one neighborhood that's become the quiet heart of Japan's coffee culture. Picture this. You're walking through this old school working class neighborhood, though it's evolving. Traditional shops still lining the streets. Then you turn a corner and there's this modern coffee roastery that could be either in Portland or Melbourne. And a few steps from that is this beautiful garden. The place I'm talking about is Kiyosumi Garden in the Fukugawa area. Kiyosumi Garden is a beautiful Japanese landscape garden. Ponds, stone paths, seasonal flowers, the whole deal. It's peaceful, it's well maintained, and the best part, it's not packed with tourists. What makes this area special is the contrast. You got this traditional Edo period garden, and then right around the corner, you've got some of the best independent coffee roasters in Tokyo. Adise Coffee Roasters is probably the most famous one, but there are several others worth checking out. It's this sort of cool mix of old and new. You can spend the morning wandering through the historic garden, then go grab you an absolutely fire pour over at a third wave coffee shop. Living your best. I appreciate both tradition and overpriced coffee life. And somehow it all just sort of works. The Fukugawa Edo Museum is about a 5-minute walk from the garden, and it shows how people lived during the Edo period. The Museum of Contemporary Art Tokyo is in the area too if you're into modern art. This is one of those neighborhoods where you can easily spend a half a day just wandering around, and you'll leave feeling like you actually experienced something most visitors completely miss. So, we've covered gardens and coffee, old neighborhoods, and Edo history. But Tokyo's story goes way beyond that. Let's fast forward out of the Edo period into the 1920s, and you'll see a completely different side of the city. Here's a question. What comes to mind when you think of traditional Japanese architecture? I'll give you a second. Temples, right? Wooden structures with curved roofs, maybe a pagoda or two. But what if I told you one of Tokyo's coolest hidden gems is a Western style mansion from the 1920s? The place I'm talking about is Hatoyama Hall in Bunkyo Ward. Fun fact, Hatoyama Hall was designed by the same architect who created the 1924 version of Kabukiza Theater, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This was the residence of one of Japan's most politically influential families right after World War I, when Japan was industrializing and trying to figure out its place on the world stage. A lot of history. Most people think of samurai or the post-World War II era when they think of Japanese history, but the 1920s often gets overlooked. And it's a shame because it's a really interesting time period in Japan. Western influence was everywhere, and the mansion shows you exactly what life was like for some of Japan's elite. There's also a really beautiful garden outside that you can stroll through, and if you're in the area, you're not far from some other great spots. Rikugian Garden, there's a shrine, even Tokyo Dome City if you want something a bit more modern. Bunkyo Ward in general, I think, is super underrated. It's just northeast of Shinjuku, so you're still pretty close to the action, but it's got this more chill vibe to it. It's definitely worth exploring if you've got the time. Alright, so we've seen peaceful shrines, old gardens, Western mansions, but there's one more layer to Tokyo that most people never think about, and this one does hit a little different. When people think about World War II history in Japan, they usually think of, what? Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and the history of the atomic bombs. The Peace Memorial Park in Hiroshima is heavy, it's somber, and a very important place. But here's the thing that most people don't realize. The war affected all of Japan, not just those two cities. Let me take you to Western Tokyo, a place called Higashiyamato. There's this really cool historical place there called the Hitachi Aircraft Tachikawa Plant Substation. That's a lot to say. And if you're into history, especially World War II history, this place, like I said, will hit different. This was an aircraft manufacturing plant that got hit repeatedly during the war. US Navy fighters, Army Air Force bombing raids. You realize pretty quickly that the war didn't just affect the cities we always hear about. Now, I'm gonna get a little personal here for a second. My Japanese grandmother, my Oba-chan, she was just a kid during the war, and I used to love talking to her about just her life. So one of her parents passed away, and if I'm remembering right, and she was the oldest child. So she had to drop out of school and start working in a factory to help support her family. She didn't get educated past middle school because high school is not mandatory in Japan. She worked for food. She lived through the bombings, the fear, the uncertainty of not knowing if the war would ever end. But she also told me something that really stuck with me. When the war ended, many of the US soldiers who ended up coming to Japan had been rotated in from the European front. They were actually super kind to her. They gave her chocolate, they handed out supplies, and her memories of them were actually positive. And you know what? The crazy thing is she went on to build a life. She became a successful knitting instructor, ran her own business, taught classes. In fact, she inspired my Japanese sister to get into fashion and textile restoration and that whole industry. The fact that she didn't finish school or she had such a hard time at a young age didn't stop her. The only English she ever remembered was learning that this is a pen. But she made it work. Apple fan. That's the thing about history though, right? It's not just dates and battles, it's peoples, it's stories, it's resilience. So yeah, if you're into World War II history and you want to see a side of it that most tourists miss, check out the Hitachi substation. And while you're out in Western Tokyo, also check out Tama Lake and Sakayama Park. They're beautiful, peaceful spots and places where you can reflect on everything that Japan has been through and everything it's become and everything it will become. So these are the 5 hidden gems in Tokyo that people completely miss. No massive crowds, no 3-hour waits, just real experiences in a country that's way deeper than the tourist trail can suggest. And that's just scratching the surface. But now that you know where to go in Tokyo, you're definitely gonna need to figure out how you can work some of these places in your trip. Watch this next video that gets into my thought process about the ultimate 2-week trip in Japan.